What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of EDH Workshop. I'm MC Sebzi, super excited. Today we get to talk about my Admiral Beckett Brass deck, pirate deck that I made. Basically steel stuff. My original commanders were Breaches, Brazen Plunderer, partnered up with Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator, and originally, had the same kind of take. It was just, is it pirates, steal stuff, a lot of the effects that, gain control of things until end of turn, and kind of attack you with your own stuff. So that's how I originally built the deck. But then, as I kept seeing some different pirates, especially in black, and especially a lot of black effects that take things, I wanted to expand outwards and found Admiral Beckett Brax in Grixis. And this is the deck. My Coastal Piracy deck, named after the card, because it just kind of fit, also in the deck. But Admiral Beckett Brass, Grixis for a 3/3 pirate, other pirates get +1/+1, and at the beginning of my end step, I gain control of target non-land permanent, controlled by a player who was dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. So a lot of unblockability stuff, a lot of ways to get through with combat damage with my pirates, so I'm able to steal something as consistently as possible. Other than that, though, we got tons of things that steal things in general. Gaia Drone, Dehada. She has protection from permanents with corruption counters on it. She's at 4 loyalty and then can make everyone lose 2 life. I gain 2 life, and I can put a corruption counter on another target creature or planeswalker. I can -3 her to gain control of target creature or planeswalker until end of turn, untap it, and put a corruption counter on it. It gains haste. And at -7, I can gain control of each permanent with a corruption counter on it. So basically a mass steal, but in general still takes things. Jace, Ingenious Mind Mage, draws me a card, untaps all creatures I control, and at a -9, I can gain control of up to 3 target creatures. So another big steal effect. That's basically the name of the game. Boarding Party, Human Pirate. Everyone's going to be a pirate, so I'm going to not say pirate. Haste and Cascade. So Cascades for 6. Lets me put out something else mainly in there for that. Breaches, one of the old commanders. Menace, so he's able to get through a lot easier. And whenever a pirate I control deals damage, I can exile the top card of each of those opponents' libraries. And I can play those cards as though, and cast mana as any color, basically. So lets me steal things from my opponents. Captain Vargas just makes all my pirates +1/+1 for each time I've cast my commander. Captivating Crew can tap 4 to gain control of a targeted creature an opponent controls. Until end of turn, it gains haste, activates as a sorcery. Again, seal effects on a pirate. Coastline Marauders has trample, and when it attacks, it gets +1/+0 for each land defending player controls. This can get pretty big, as well as encore effects, and the trample lets it get through for that combat damage. Coercive Recruiter, when it or another pirate enters the battlefield, I can gain control of a creature, untap it, gain haste, and it becomes a pirate, which is slightly beneficial and relevant. Dreamcaller Siren, flash flying pirate, can block only creatures with flying, but when it enters the battlefield, if I control another pirate, I can tap down 2 non-land permanents. Basically lets me get in a little easier. Direfleet Daredevil enters the battlefield. I can exile an instant or sorcery from an opponent's graveyard, and I can cast it. Exile it instead if it was put into a graveyard, so lets me steal spells. Diluvian Primordial does the same thing, lets me steal spells from my opponent's graveyards. Or I think it mills. Enter the battlefield, each opponent. No, I may cast a target instant or sorcery from the graveyard. Deadeye Brawler ascends, is a 2/4 with Death Touch, so it has more chance to get through, and when it deals combat damage, if I have the Sitting's Blessing, I draw a card. Once I'm stealing permanents, once I'm playing a lot of my pirates, pretty easy to get it. Crafty Cut Purse, when it enters, each token that would be created under an opponent's control this turn is created under mine instead, and it has flash, so flashing this in on an Avenger of Zendikar or, a Dockside Extortionist really is big for me. Corsair Captain enters, makes me a treasure, and my other pirates get +1/+1. Fathom Fleet Captain makes me pirates with Menace if I have another pirate by paying 2, and it's got Menace itself, so a lot of that, being unblockable, really going through. Glinthorn Buccaneer has the ability to deal 1 damage to every opponent when I discard a card, and it has an ability to discard and draw if it's attacking. On top of that, that ability will trigger things such as Malcolm or such as breaches when it deals damage to an opponent. So yeah, so pretty cool effect. Hostage Taker takes a hostage creature or artifact, and I can cast it as my own. Impulsive Pilfer dies and makes me a treasure token, and I can encore it. Keeper of Keys enters the battlefield and makes me the Monarch. So the Monarch's good because since I'm constantly attacking and with unblockable creatures. And at the beginning of my upkeep, if I'm the Monarch, creatures I control can't be blocked this turn, so that just fully makes my Admiral Beckett Bass trigger go nuts. Kitesail Skirmisher, when it attacks another target attacking creature attacking the same player, it gets flying, so a little more, again, you know, unblockability, and if I encore it, I can give up to 3 things flying. Perplexing Chimera, whenever an opponent casts a spell, I can exchange control of it, and that spell kind of passes around, but lets me steal anything. Obeka is in here for some of the effects that do let me steal things, but then make me sacrifice or give it back at the beginning of the end step, so this kind of helps me keep all those abilities. Merchant Raiders is in here. When it or another pirate enters the battlefield, I tap something down for as long as I control Merchant Raiders. So if I have a bunch of pirates entering, this will basically lock a whole board down. Marchesa of the Black Rose is a new addition. Other creatures I control have dethroned, so when they attack a player with the most life or tied, they get a +1 counter. On top of that, whenever a creature I control with a +1 counter dies, return that card to the battlefield under my control at the beginning of the next end step. So when I take things, I'm able to give them +1 counters with the dethrone mechanic. Then I'm able to sacrifice and kill them and get the creature back under my control permanently. So that's a pretty solid ability. Malcolm is in here. When a pirate deals damage to an opponent, I create a treasure token for each opponent. Lightning Rig Crew taps to deal 1 damage to each opponent. Again, fits great with Malcolm and with breaches. And when I cast a pirate, it untaps. Protean Raider, if I attack with a creature this turn, I can have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, so it kind of steals in that way. Rakshasa Debaser lets me grab creatures from everybody's graveyard when it attacks. Encore as well. Seems to be a bit of a theme here as encore abilities, but yeah, they're really great with having to attack multiple people and really just getting that damage through. Siren Storm Tamer can sacrifice itself to counter an ability or spell that targets me or a creature. Stormfleet Sprinter can't be blocked, so just a 2/2 pirate with haste. And Zara Renegade Recruiter, when it attacks, I can look at target defending player's hand, and I may put a creature card from them on the battlefield, tapped and attacking, and then I return it at the beginning of the next end step, which I can stop with Obeka, which I can, you know, sacrifice, do nonsense with Marchesa. But yeah, that's basically all the creatures. Again, mostly pirates, but stuff that really just steals from things. Bloody Betrayal, gain control of a creature. Haste, create a blood token. I have Distortion Strike to give something unblockable, and then it's got Rebound. Divination draws me 2 cards. Extract Brain, I can choose X cards, and an opponent shows me X cards, and I can play a spell without casting its mana cost from them. Ghost Form, up to 2 creatures are unblockable. I know there's a lot of 1-mana ones for this ability, but I really wanted it to be like such as this, but I want it to kind of like hit multiple creatures since I want to be getting through with a lot. Hate Mirage, I can choose up to 2 creatures and make token copies, haste, exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Mass Manipulation just lets me gain control of X target creatures or planeswalkers. March of the Drowned, 1 mana, return 2 pirates from my graveyard to my hand. Excellent card in the deck. Invoke the Winds, gain control of target artifact or creature. Hostile Takeover, it gives something base power and toughness 1/1 and something base power and toughness 4/4, and then deals 3 damage to each creature. Sort of a mini board wipe if somebody has a lot of chump blockers. And then, you know, I'm able to save something on my board guaranteed. Hijack lets me take a creature or artifact, untap it. Hidden Strings, Cipher, so this means basically I can exile the spell as I play, as it resolves, and when that onto a creature, encode it, and when that creature deals damage, combat damage, I can recast the spell for free. So this basically lets me tap or untap target permanent and do it twice basically. So every time I connect with this, I'm tapping or untapping 2 things. Mob rule, gain control of all creatures with power 4 or greater, haste, yada yada, or gain control of all creatures with power 3 or less. So this can be a big blowout, again for a huge attack. Mutiny's in here, fits the theme, but also target creature an opponent controls deal damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. Good, a little bit of removal. Pirate's Pillage fits the theme again. Discard a card, draw 2, create a treasure token. Slave of Bolus gains control of a target creature, and then I sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Again, something I can end with an Beckett trigger, or an Beckett ability, sorry. Stolen Goods. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card, and I can cast that card without paying its mana cost. Traitorous Blood also gains control of something. I untap it, trample and haste though, so it's a bit better than some of them. I chose the ones that all had like some kind of, you know, special side to it. So Hate Mirage hits 2 things. Traitorous Blood gives trample and haste, so it's a little more likely to get through. This gains control of an artifact as well. Bloody Betrayal gives me a blood token just for a quick draw discard, and Traitor's Greed is another one that adds me 2 red mana as well as gain control of something. So, you know, I get an extra benefit on top of gaining control and then can use that to my advantage. And Wake to Slaughter, I choose up to 2 cards from in my graveyard. An opponent chooses 1 to go to my hand and the other goes on the battlefield, and then I exile it at the beginning of the next end step, which again with Obeka can cancel it if I got her. Either way, still get some things back. Dynacharge is a cool card. Just 1 mana gives something +2/+0, but I can overload it, so it's good for a finisher. I got a Fling in here to sacrifice and throw anything that I steal. Hurl Through Hell, I exile target creature, and until end of my next turn I can cast that card, and I may spend mana as though we're mana of any color to cast that spell, so it's removal and it steals. Treacherous Urge, somebody reveals their hand, and I can put a creature card from it into play and sacrifice it at the end of turn, again ending it with Obeka if I have her out. And You Find Some Prisoners is my last instant or sorcery. Destroys an artifact, or I can exile the top 3 cards of an opponent's library and I can cast and play cards from among them. But yeah, so those are the spells. Then down to some artifacts. Cursed Mirror just enters as a copy of something, again sort of steely, but also adds a mana. Gold Vein Pick, since my creature will be getting through a lot. Combat damage, gets me some treasures, just some ramp with his Ecluse Stone, and Strionic Resonator to double up a lot of the steel triggers, to double up my commander's triggered abilities. Those are, yeah, great addition in the deck. Then for enchantments, I have Abduction, which just gains control of a creature, and when the enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, I return it to play under its owner's control. Aqueous Form makes something unblockable and lets me scry. Coastal Piracy, whenever a creature I control deals combat damage, I draw a card. Imposing Visage gives something menace, basically. It's just an older card, so it's got a different printing of it, but yeah, it can't be blocked by only 1 creature. I put Invisibility, enchanted creature can't be blocked except by walls. Messenger Speed, 1 mana, trample and haste. Traveler's Cloak, it enters, I draw a card, and then I choose a land, and the creature has land walk of the chosen land, which is great. Basically unblockability in 1 direction, depending what the land is. As for lands, I do have a lot of unbasics. I got, you know, the typical basics. Then I got Access Tunnel to make something with 3 or less unblockable. Command Tower, Crumbling Necropolis, and Exotic Orchard, all there just for the mana fixing. Darkwater Catacombs helps out. Sulfur Vents is a cool one where it taps for black, or I can sacrifice it to add blue and red. So it's kind of that Grixis thing. Soaring Sea Cliff gives something flying. Arachnos Carnarium. Path of Ancestry for pirate synergies. Unclaimed Territory for pirate synergies. And then Thriving Moor and Thriving Bluff just for some mana fixing. That's basically the deck. Here's the mana curve. Nicely even, not too crazy. A lot of 4 drops, but you know, still very playable. But yeah, It's a pretty cool deck. Honestly, again, it's very dependent on, you know, your opponent, what they have, what kind of cards, you know, they have access to, how good their deck is, and that'll basically gauge how good this deck is, right? You're basically stealing everything you can and just monopolizing the board as much as you can. A lot of unblockability synergy, so that's really good. You know, you're just going to be attacking all the time. And hey, at the end of the day, you can always attack with something big and just, you know, have it unblockable and win the game that way too. So that's the deck. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope you like and subscribe if you liked the content and you want to subscribe to more of the content. And definitely let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this, if you want to see more specific commanders or other deck types. I got lots of decks. These are all from my personal collections, so I'm really happy to be putting them up. I'm MC_Sebzy on Moxfield. Check me out there. Check out the Monkaroos YouTube channel for some more similar content. And, you know, I'm also streaming every once in a while. MC_Sebzy7, I believe, is my Twitch. But check it out there. Yeah, and hope you liked it. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time.